What up, guys? I'm John Camacho. This is Between the Pylons, a NFL draft channel that during the season does rookie check-ins across the NFL, all right? Today, we are talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'll be honest, guys, I hesitated to record this one. Thought about just skipping over them. I have a long list of rookies I wanted to talk about, and I don't know how much commentary I can add to the extremely loud narrative that Marvin Harrison isn't getting the ball as much as he should. There's some merit to it. You know, you look at the film, and I did a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and say I watched every game on film, but I did look at a lot of his snaps on film. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an argument that he should be the first read more often. I just did the Brian Thomas video that's going to be out on this channel, and I talked about how I think he should be. I think Brian Thomas should be the first read on every single route because he's just the clear number one on that team, and he's performing that way. I would say the same thing about Marvin Harrison Jr. The difference is, Marvin Harrison isn't having a bad season. He's leading the league in touchdown passes. He was always going to be an elite red zone threat. He was never not going to be that. I mean, I think his floor was still probably an elite red zone threat as far as just his jump ball, 50-50 ball ability coming out. And again, I think he's a lot more than that. I'm not saying he isn't, but let's get into it. Usually in these videos, I would do some film. I don't know if I'm going to do that in this one. I haven't actually decided as I'm recording it. What I want to start with, though, is looking at his stats, which, if you just listen to the public narrative, you would say that it's terrible. But, 15 receptions on 27 targets for 243 yards and 4 touchdowns. Excuse me, let me put myself on the screen there. I'll take place of Marvin Harrison's beautiful picture. That's not a bad stat line for 4 games as a rookie. That's just not. It's just not. And he's had the one blow up game, which let's see here. Where was that? He had the 130 yards on 4 catches and 8 targets in week 2, and then the 64 yards on 10 targets in week 3 with 5 receptions. He's had a touchdown in the last 3 games, 2 in that week 2 matchup against LA. He had an elite performance, I would say, in that game, and he's, I think, the 14th ranked wide receiver, just complete wide receiver on PFF. So, yeah, that's really good. That's really, really good. And again, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be more involved in the offense. I'm just saying that he's involved in the offense. I mean, he's not uninvolved. I do agree that he does kind of go missing in the second half, and I'm not 100% sure why that is. Again, one of the things that I don't like just when I'm looking at the stats, I do think you can be more creative. Again, I don't know why this bothers me so much that when star receivers aren't put in the slot a little bit more often, to me. Again, his max was 25%. He's averaging about 20% of snaps from the slot versus 80% out wide, which, again, makes sense. He's the number one receiver. He's going to make a lot of money in the league, lining up out wide and running down the field and catching whatever is thrown his way, which should be a lot. He should be getting a lot thrown his way. Did find it interesting that he's at least not more involved in the slot. Again, that would probably be my biggest critique, and I'm not by any means a schematics expert or anything. I don't claim to be, but you got a guy who is an elite route runner. You got a guy who, I mean, from the draft profile can do it all. Why are we not utilizing him as the number one read at every single route combination and every single formation, put him in the spot where he can succeed? And I get it. He's a rookie, 4 games in. Let him learn one position before you start moving him around the board a bunch. Maybe that is kind of the thought process there, but I don't know. I see that as an opportunity where he could be getting utilized in the offense a little bit more than he is. So that would be my first thing. And then the only thing that kind of is a pause just from looking at the stats, just from purely looking at the stats. And I'm sure there's a fairly good explanation, but it's this number right here, 36 total yards after catch. And really 30 of those comes on, I think, is one play. I think he had like that one bomb down the field where he ran it in for a touchdown. So he's getting damn near no yak. So he's catching the ball and getting tackled every single play, question mark, 14 of the 15 plays, he's essentially catching the ball and getting tackled, or he's catching the ball in the end zone and catching touchdowns, which is awesome, obviously. I don't know. That's just a weird number for me. That's something that bothers me a little bit. Obviously, look, we all knew who this guy was coming out, 4th pick in the draft. This dude is a star. He should be a star, and he's getting outproduced by guys like, obviously, Malik Neighbors, who was, by the way, just in the same tier as him. Like, it was close. It was really close. At least to most people it was. I'm sure there were a couple guys that didn't feel that way. I know there were a couple guys, at least one. I know Chris Sims, who gets a lot of hate. He put Malik Neighbors ahead of Marvin Harrington Jr. He's looking like he's right now. Now, a lot of guys, pretty much across the board, the draft community had Marvin as the clear number 1, with Malik as kind of the clear number 2. But there were a lot of people out there that were talking about how close this really was. And I was definitely one of those people who believed, and this is 1A, 1B for me anyway. And so last thing I want to do is I do just want to pull up some clips. I don't have the film, but I do have some TV copy cut together clips here that I just pulled off of YouTube just to kind of be something that I wanted to look at here. So this is an example of him lining up in the slot. This is kind of exactly what I'm talking about for like this is stealing yards. This is stealing yards every single time. He's 6'4". He's got one of the biggest, best catch radiuses in the league, and he's running just a simple slant down the middle. That's an easy 9-10 yards. Again, another example of, he's one of the best red zone threats in the league. Touchdown, boom. Let's move on. We can show it again. Yeah, just wins off the ball. Kyler gives him a chance. Outside, just basic ass dig route, damn near no yards after catch, but I'm not expecting much out of him. Throw it. Why'd you throw it so late? That's not on him. Throw it right here. Okay, we're gonna move on. So that doesn't show the beginning of the play, but I believe he lined up in the slot and just running a dig. Throw it earlier. Give him a chance. Give your guy a chance. Another example. I feel like he's getting targeted from the slot a lot. So he's that third receiver in that formation. Basic dig route, goes down quick. 4th and 12, chuck it up. Obviously, just good route run, clean. I want to do one more just because I'm kind of curious of where he's getting his production. It's just, again, we're doing this live on the air. This is me doing the research with you on screen. I haven't watched a lot of this ahead of time. Don't know what that was. I would have loved another angle of that, because this is just, again, deep curl, corners all over it. Elite. Now this is his first. This is the blow up game. This is where he dominated. Again, they heard the complaints in week 1. That's not a catch, by the way. Just so you guys know. It got called a catch. It was called a catch on the field. He ended up. That's not a catch. I'm sorry. I don't think so. Moving on here. I'll let it just play through. Gorgeous. That's the big yak. That's his 30 yards of yak right here. Well, 25 of his 30 yards from that play, essentially. Just comes open, broken play, makes it. Look, you expect that. That's what you love to see. Almost caught, but he gets in the end zone. Back shoulder. Corners all over him, but back shoulder makes the catch, comes down with it. Good job. Yeah, you'll show this 10 times. Okay. So I actually remember, I do remember watching this. I was watching the quarterback school break this down, and he was open kind of the whole way, and then Kyler just made a great play out of kind of a poor situation. It was one of those situations where, like, if you watch that entire play, he should have thrown it from the pocket and he would have had him open, but was still able to make the play. Again, another broken play with a big reception. That should have been completed. He was open. Another just, Kyler. Come on. Come on, Kyler. Give your man a chance. They drafted him 4th overall. Like, give him a chance. All right. Come on, Kyler. There you go. He should get this. You expect him to come down with that. That's crazy. He had a 2-touchdown game, 130 yards, and probably should have had another touchdown on there. He probably should have come down with that last throw. Anyway, just from looking at those 2 games, and it's such a small sample size. That's what the rookie check-in is, though. This video is supposed to be about a small sample size and what to expect moving forward. I would imagine the Cardinals are going to keep finding ways to make him the number 1 read. I would imagine they're going to open his route tree up a little bit. I would hope. If they don't, then there's other issues here. I mean, there's no other way to say it. You looked at just a handful of targets. What did we see? Take away the broken plays where I don't know exactly what the route was. You see a fade in the end zone. You see a slant, and you see a comeback route and a go route, I guess. Deep crosser, maybe. I'm sure there was a deep crosser. There was definitely a deep crosser in there. 5 routes, really? I don't know. To me, that's not enough. To me, that's what I would say the issue is with the whole conversation. I'm questioning it. I'm not gonna sit here and say, Malik Neighbors is the clear number 1 wide receiver already in this class. There's a world where we get out of this 2024 season. We have 17 games of evidence, and we can come to a pretty conclusive conclusion that Neighbors should have been the 4th pick. That there's a world. We're 4 games in, and there is a world where we could say that. I know there's so much hype about Marvin. I get it. He was a superstar at Ohio State. He's been a star everywhere he's gone. I understand the lore that comes with it, but that's not what this is about. We see guys like that come in the NFL kind of every single year. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes he meets every expectation. Because let's face it, Marvin isn't going to exceed expectation. The expectation is he's a Hall of Famer. That's what the expectation is. So sometimes they meet it. Sometimes they don't. It's too early to say. I'm not sitting here saying you're not going to say that. Again, this is we're comparing him to other elite players. There's not a world. There's not a world where this guy ends up being bad. That doesn't exist. All right. There's levels to this. Okay. We're talking about the highest level and comparing it to the other guy who is at the highest level. So that's all we're talking about. I think it's interesting. Again, way too early to make that statement, make any kind of declaration about him compared to the other guys in this class, him compared to the NFL. There's still a guy who's ranked 14th in the entire NFL according to PFF as a wide receiver. This is still a guy who, I mean, again, is showing elite traits early on. That's what you love to see. Would like to see a little bit more separation down the field on those longer developing routes. That's kind of my only complaint so far. Again, I'm going to repeat myself for the final time before getting out of here. It's so early to say. I definitely think Arizona definitely does need to do more schematically to get him more involved. We're going to see how it goes. I think the Cardinals have a lot of pieces to the puzzle that could make them a really good team, but they're floundering. It's like one week you see a lot of great things, the other week you see just not enough. And right now we're seeing just not enough over the past 2 weeks, so against the Lions and then the Commanders last week. All right, I'm out. Thank you so much for watching. Check back for more rookie check-ins. Peace.